what's something that those players and yourself understand about this rivalry that we could possibly never understand?
I think yeah, that's a great question. When what gets misconstrued in the public is, in order to hate someone, you have to respect somebody, and I think that gets lost a lot with the fan base. And I hate the Mexican players. I hate the Mexican fans. I hate the Mexican Football Federation. I respect all of them. I respect all of them for going into battle with me, bringing the best out of me, making me feel an emotion, nerves, joy, heartache that nothing could ever, like nothing in life could ever give me.
Hey guys, welcome on Into Drinks with Binks. I'm Julie Stewart-Binks. Some of you out there may know some of my background, where I used to be a sideline reporter for soccer, covering MLS and the US men's and women's national teams for Fox Sports 1 and ESPN. It was a wonderful time in my life, and I do have one of my lasting memories was chasing Bruce Arena down the tunnel after the U.S. lost to Costa Rica at Red Bull Arena. Not that great of a memory, but I have an incredible memory of watching a U.S. star at the 2014 World Cup, none other than Tim Howard, who made 16 saves against Belgium. We all hold that incredible memory. They lost the game, but they had a wonderful outing against Belgium. And guess who my guest is? Based on that, it is none other than Tim Howard, former U.S. men's national team star for Everton as well, Manchester United, Colorado Rapids, and so many more. Now sporting director, minority owner for Memphis 901 FC, and of course, analyst on NBC Sports. Tim, it is so great to see you. The last time we spoke with one another would have been when you were on the pitch. Now you're off of it. You're working in television. First of all, congratulations on all of that. And
thank you.
How does it feel?
Pretty amazing. Yeah, pretty amazing. It's good to see you. Let's drink.
Mm-hmm. We can do this now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You're doing amazing as well. It's great. It's great to be retired. Playing is hard. It really was. I was done. So yeah, I'm excited. I love being retired. I love being on television and working for NBC Sports. It's a dream come true. Love it. You know, if you can't play the game, then you wanna watch it and analyze it. And you know, I'm a massive fan of the sport. So yeah, I'm excited.
So what's it been like? I mean, you've always looked at the game vertically, like literally. Now you get like a completely different vantage point on TV. In what way has the way you look at the game changed now being in the position you're in?
Not a whole lot. I think more than anything is you know, trying to figure out cadence and delivery. The way I view the game and the way I view fouls and penalties and good goals and bad goals and you know, patterns of play and tactics, that's not really changed that much. You know, obviously I dig more into it. You know, I'm less self-consumed. I think when you're a player, you're worried about your position, your team, your results. Who do you play next week? That's natural, right? Because it's your job and it should be your first priority. Now I look at things more holistically in terms of the overall table. Where are certain teams? How are teams trending, et cetera, top and bottom. So yes, as you said, as a player, you've got these blinders on, and it's a very vertical view. But you know, as you start to analyze the game, it opens things up, which I like, to be honest. You know, you're less consumed with just the here and now, and more kind of looking forward and out and seeing who's doing what.
Right. It's not as insular and sort of specific as what you're used to when you're preparing for a match. And you mentioned looking at the table and standings, you know, whatever, USA, UK, whichever, soccer, football. When you're looking at EPL, we know that there's the international break right now. What's sort of the story for you and your background and who you are that really is speaking to you right now that you think is the biggest story in EPL?
Oof. Yeah, it's, you know, I think that Manchester United is always on the tip of everybody's tongue. The exciting part is that it's a 3-horse race at the top. It will, I think Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City will go to the wire, which kind of will take care of itself and be a nice storyline as we start to trend towards the end of the season, which we're not even close to that. Manchester United, whether it's a great season or a bad season, people talk about United. Ronaldo's there, and what's the problem? Why can't they keep pace? Who's the issue? Coaching, all of those things, and that's forever. I mean, you look back since the beginning of the Premier League, everyone talks about Manchester United. I think the other interesting thing now is kind of, West Ham are on this really magical run under David Moyes. Brilliant team. They're there on merit, and can they keep that going? It's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and you mentioned Manchester United. That is where, regardless, everyone's attention usually is. They've had 4 wins in 12 games, and they have this break right now. What is the biggest issue that they can try to rectify before they get back to playing?
No, I don't think they can rectify the issue because Manchester United are they're a force going forward. They have so many attacking options. I think their Achilles heel is the fact that they continually go behind in games. And it was this really kind of nice niche stat where they gained so many points coming from behind, and that sounds great. But when you're a top team, when you're supposed to win the Premier League, you can't do that. The teams are too good. So I actually don't love that for them. And when you talk about the other 3 teams, Liverpool, City, and Chelsea, they're so very good in transition. And I think defensively Manchester United is fine. I think their back 4, they've been a little unstable, but attacking they're brilliant. Their back 4 and goalkeeper have been shaky recently, but I do like them. I think they're strong. It's in the middle of the park, and I don't think they have a really strong base at the middle of the park. They play with 2 number 6s, which then hinders their ability to play another attacker. When you look at the best teams in the league, they have their midfield sorted. And so right now, and look, it was supposed to be addressed. They talked about maybe bringing in Declan Rice from West Ham. They talked about Basuma from Brighton. So they know that they have a need for a proper box-to-box number 6 that gets about. And right now they're piecing things together, and that's been the massive Achilles heel for them. So I don't think that can get rectified.
Right. So they still have that issue. So then how much is this an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer problem?
Sure. Well, I think the question is, and this is what everyone's asking, what direction is the train going in? If ownership believes that the important thing to do is to qualify for Champions League, which you have to place 4 or above, then yeah, can he be the guy to do that? Sure, absolutely. If the objective is different than that, this team doesn't seem to be going in that direction. They don't seem to. I don't think that they can do really any better than top 4. But that's a lot of money spent. There's a heck of a lot of history there to only be satisfied with that. But again, that comes from the top down. If that's the if that's the objective, I think that's fine for them, really. And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can be the manager for that. If it's to go beyond that, not with this current team, no.
Right. Well, one of your other former teams, Everton, Christian Polanco, who works with us, is a big Everton fan. Also, my boyfriend is now an Everton fan this year. He took a test, said he'd beat Liverpool, and I said, you can't. You can't beat Liverpool. Sure. And so he was like, okay, I think I'll pick Everton. And I was like, yay, good, got him a jersey, everything. It's not necessarily been the best of times, but what would you say in terms of maybe words of encouragement for fans of the Toffees?
Well, I've never met your boyfriend, but hearing that, he seems like an amazing guy. It's difficult. I said at the beginning of the season, they are very thin. Their squad is very, very thin. They've got quality, and they can win football matches in the Premier League. But if you lose Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which they did to injury, you're going to struggle. Richarlison came back from just a whirlwind summer, so he didn't get off the mark. He didn't hit the ground running. That's an issue. So when you look at their team as a whole, not a ton of depth. Obviously, Andros Townsend has come in and done really, really well. Demarai Gray has been an absolute steal up top. Really good signing, not a ton of money at all, from a Premier League standard. So They have some pieces, but it's difficult in that, you talk about where Everton want to finish, in European spots. There's a lot of good teams there. And so they don't have a lot of depth, as I said, and they have to keep, if you don't, you have to keep your best players on the pitch, and they haven't done that quite yet. So there's been some inconsistency.
I'm not super amped up with that answer, but
no, neither am I. By the way.
Yeah. Is that tough?
Well, yeah, look, I always root for teams that, I've played for and that I have an affinity for, but the truth is the truth. And so that's where we are at the moment.
Okay. Well, we're in reality here.
Yeah, it's sadly, it's a reality check.
Hey, listen, I'm a fan of Arsenal, so I've seen reality hard and fast.
But better at the moment.
Better at the moment. And it's just one of those things where you're like, I never fully believe it until I see them finish third or fourth always. Well, I mean, that would be amazing at this point.
That would be amazing.
We got to get into some U.S. stuff because speaking of being a legend, you're synonymous with the red, white, and blue. From the iteration of the U.S. men's national team that you were on to now, what do you think are the differences and similarities to who we see on the pitch versus, obviously different players at some point, but the identity versus when you played?
Well, I think the identity of, certainly the players that are playing now are playing at much bigger clubs. Just as on the whole, not everyone, but on the whole, there are some players that are playing at, the tippy top of European football, which is amazing. Chelsea and Juventus and Barcelona. And that's probably, the first time in the history of U.S. soccer that we've had that. There's been the one-off. But, you can never, no matter what, I think as an American U.S. national team player, you can never get too far away from the grit and the determination and the hard work and the ability to fight for the shirt, and I think that's a starting point. So when I look at this team, I think they have that. And we saw that in the Nations Cup final, against Mexico, the way they battled and the way they fought and the resiliency. That's how you get measured as a U.S. player is the games against Mexico. And so with that said, the next one coming up is going to be massive and just another test for this young team.
Right. Okay, so USA, Mexico, Dos a Cero, so much history. For those that have played it and that have been on the pitch, maybe been at Azteca or whether you've welcomed Mexico to the U.S., what's something that those players and yourself understand about this rivalry that we could possibly never understand?
I think it's a great question. What gets misconstrued in the public is, in order to hate someone, you have to respect somebody, and I think that gets lost a lot with the fan base. And I hate the Mexican players. I hate the Mexican fans. I hate the Mexican Football Federation. I respect all of them. I respect all of them for going into battle with me, bringing the best out of me, making me feel an emotion, nerves, joy, heartache that nothing in life could ever give me. That game, that rivalry gives me that. And so there's so much respect there. And it doesn't get talked about enough between the players and the federation. So it's a special game to be a part of. Right.
That is a great perspective to bring to the masses. As you mentioned, a lot of people don't necessarily see that. For you've had the highs and lows with the U.S. I don't want to relive a hard memory for you, but curious as someone watching it. But in 2018, when you guys didn't make the World Cup, what is a memory or a moment from that time? Maybe it was the final whistle when you realized you weren't going to the World Cup that has stuck with you.
I think the tough part, sports are there's highs and lows, and I think you have to be able to deal with both of them. I remember, and I hadn't had this feeling. It felt like I hadn't had this feeling very, very often in life. What inside of football, outside of football, doesn't matter. Where the final whistle blew, and I just remember thinking, I was rooming with DeMarcus Beasley. down in Trinidad. He and I are both veterans, and just remember sitting there on the field, in the locker room, on the bus, and having food which you couldn't even eat, because it was so distraught, and then being in the room, kind of thinking, this is real, but it's not real. We'll play another game. There's got to be some sort of way that there's got to be some sort of playoff. We got to be able to replay the game. Something has to happen because this can't be reality. Clearly, it was, and that almost defiance of like this can't be real. This can't be real. And then the next, probably, it still stings. But I mean, the next 3 or 4 days, week, 2 weeks, I was pretty numb. I was pretty emotionally numb, and and the only way I could best describe it is there was this haze. There was kind of this fog that I was in. That I just, I had a couple of days off. I went to my home in Florida, and I just kind of pottered around aimlessly because I was so distraught and in disbelief. And so I never really felt that. Never really felt that before. Certainly with soccer. You win some, you lose some, but this was something completely different.
Wow, it's kind of like mourning the loss of something happening and kind of the different stages of grief that you go through when that happens. Definitely. And for this team right now, for them to avoid having to deal with that, what is maybe one thing that they need to keep in mind, you've already been through all this before? Yeah,
I think earning back-to-back results is really important. I think in World Cup qualifying, very rarely is a team going to go undefeated. And, just kind of picking up points, always trying to put in good performances where, on certain match windows where you have 2 or 3 games, making sure that in those periods you're always picking up some points. Where we failed wasn't at the end in 2018; it was at the beginning. Versus Mexico, and then going down to Costa Rica, getting beat really, really bad. And so we lost it. We completely lost a match window where we didn't pick up any points. And so at the end, when you look at, you don't have to be perfect in qualifying, but you can't do that. And when you look back at Trinidad and the final whistle and all that, it wasn't lost there. It was lost in the beginning. And so, this team seems to be doing fine in that regard. Gaining momentum. Are they playing their best now? No, they don't want to be playing their best now. They want to continue to, get better. But as you do that, making sure they pick up points, and they're doing it.
Right, to peak at the right time. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, the getting points early when you should. And I mean, I obviously wasn't playing in the game, but I remember even just against Panama at the end in Orlando, and it was like, yay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And that's amazing how quickly the tide can turn.
Well, I think that's a great point. I think, we beat Panama so handedly. It was almost a no-brainer. That's why I think when we just talked about the feeling of the loss, there was never a moment until the final whistle blew that I didn't think we were going to the World Cup. Like I didn't go into the game going, it was kind of a layup for us. We were going to go to the World Cup. And so that's kind of what played into it.
Definitely. And I'm sorry to bring that up.
No, it's part of the
history. We do here.
Yeah.
By the way, let's take a little cheers. You've had an incredible career with everything you've done, and I'm so in awe of it all. And we'll drink to that. We're going to play a little game right now.
Let's do it.
We'll liven the mood up a bit. So back in 2014, there was the sort of meme of like things Tim Howard could save.
Yeah.
Which is great. And so I'm going to give you a few statements.
Yeah.
And if you agree with them, you're allowing the ball to go by you. You're like, they just scored on me. I agree.
Cool. Yeah.
If you do not agree with it, you're like, you send that ball away, you make the save, and then you tell me why. You're like, I'm making that save because blank.
I disagree. Okay, yeah, gotcha.
I disagree. No.
Perfect.
Okay. Let's play things Tim Howard could save. Number 1, the team most likely to win MLS Cup is the New England Revolution.
I have to save that one. That's a block.
Okay, block it.
Blocked it because Colorado Rapids, my old team. New England, Bruce is doing amazing. My old team is on fire at the moment. So got to root for the underdog always. Blocked.
Okay. And the team that you played for. Got to root for the team that you played for, too.
With my guys.
All right, so for things Tim Howard can save, are you saving or are you letting it sail through? Zack Steffen should be the number one goalkeeper for the U.S. men's national team.
Should he be the number one for the U.S. going forward? I'll block that because Zack Steffen, in my opinion, should be the greatest U.S. goalkeeper of all time. He has all the tools. He is athletically more gifted than anyone who's graced the field, has brilliant goalkeeping ability. Currently, he's not playing. So in due time, do I think so? Absolutely. But if I'm, and I've been in this situation, if I'm Matt Turner and I'm playing for arguably the best team in MLS and I'm in form, if I get dropped, I'm going to go knock on room 1323 in the Hilton, the suite that Greg Berhalter's in, and I'm going to knock on his door and say, look, Gafford, there's no reason to drop me, and you're wrong. So that's how I would play it if I was Matt Turner. But that being said, I don't think you can keep greatness down, and Zack Steffen will and should be the greatest U.S. goalkeeper of all time. So so long as he's not playing regular football, that's football at every level. If you're not playing regularly, then it's very difficult to play for your national team. So, but in due time, yes.
Well, that's some high praise from someone who knows that position well. So Zack Steffen will be happy to hear that, I'm sure, as he probably grew up watching your every move.
Yeah, for sure.
If I could be anyone else, it would be Stu Holden.
That's a massive block. That's like a clean sheet shutout. Why in the world would I want to be Stu Holden? I love him. He knows that. No, that's a block.
That's why I picked him.
That's a block. It's my guy, but it's a block. Because you know why? I'll tell you why. Stu can't grow a beard like this. Why would I want to go through life with a baby face like Stu when you can have a scraggly, rough, nasty beard? It's a block.
Right. You two changing facial hair would be like super out of this world. Okay.
That's the meme. That's the next meme. Someone changed mine and Stu's facial hair.
You're very lucky that we are out of time, and my questions about Jurgen Klinsmann and Canada are going to be saved to the next edition of Things Tim Howard Could Save. Before we go, though, Tim, where can we find you next? What have you got going on that you want to tell us about?
Gosh, just early Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. If you can get up that early, get your coffee, watch us covering the Premier League because it's absolutely brilliant. Premier League mornings, NBC. It
is awesome, and we have had a number of his coworkers on. Rebecca Lowe, Arlo White. You can watch those episodes on our YouTube account, Fubo Sports. You know where to find it, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. Also, we got the CONMEBOL South America World Cup qualifiers. So much soccer coverage here / football. Tim, thank you so much for being here. Cheers to you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bottoms up, bitches.